Hello and welcome back to the Games Kingdom. My name's Carl King and today we're going to be taking a look through the new Evolved Edition Core Rules, Starter Set and Rapture Protocol for the Alien RPG game, which is released by Free League Publishing. If you've backed the Kickstarter, then hopefully you will have already received your copies of whatever you've ordered. If you're still waiting, I believe they're in the last throes of actually delivering all of the pledges. I'm not sure if you can pre-order yet, but I believe you can at this date, which is the 22nd of November 2025. You can go on to the Free League Publishing website and have a look at what's available. There's also a load of downloads. I've done some quick downloads of the ship pages and character sheets, the new ones, because they have slightly changed from version 1. We'll be having a look at those towards the end of the video. But yeah, today is just sort of like a quick flick through and sort of opening of what we've got in the book and the boxes. So without further ado, we'll open the first one, and obviously we're going to start with the core rules. Now the difference with this is that if you've got the first edition, or if you've seen the first edition, then you'll know that what they did, they had black pages in the book with white text, and they've changed that to a more sort of standard white page and black text. And I must admit, I don't mind either, but the white one, the new one, does look obviously slightly better in reading purposes. It is clearer, but yeah, I don't mind either, to be honest, and I'll probably keep the old one, or I may give it away as a prize on my channel at a later date, just for somebody to get a copy if they haven't already got one. So what we've got is your obligatory sort of star map and system map here of the sort of middle heavens, as they call it. Obviously you've got your Weyland-Yutani symbols in the book. Obviously this is heavily influenced by the Alien films from obviously 1970s onwards, and obviously including the new excuse me, Alien Earth TV series. If you haven't watched that, I recommend that. If you are an Alien fan, it was very good. Just been recommissioned for series 2. So again, we've got the table of contents for the book, giving you all the different sections of the book. So if you do need to look up something and you know what it should come under, at least you'll be able to check out what section that should be in, and it's all in here in sort of numerical order. And the book is again very well laid out, as are all the Free League Publishing rule books for all the different systems that they do. They don't just do Alien, so if you want to check out and see what other systems they do, by all means do that. As we go along, we'll just sort of flick through the book. We're not going to show you too much so that there's not too many spoilers, but this will just give you a flavour of what's in the book. A, if you're waiting for it, and B, if you've got it, not had a look at it yet, or if you're thinking of getting it. So obviously it gives you a bit of background about what is the story behind the game, and obviously the Alien universe, a bit on frontier life, because you can become different people in this game. So you can become a colonial marine, you can work for the corporation, you can be miners, you can be prospectors, you can be space explorers, you can be ship crew. All of those sorts of things that you've seen in the films and potentially in the TV series, you can sort of employ into this game. And then obviously the game is overseen by not a DM, in this case it's a GM. They call it the Game Mother. Obviously again a nod back to the Alien original film when they called the computer Mother on board the Nostromo. Then you've got a bit about the timeline. So again, this is quite a nice little touch again. Just gives you the timeline from when things happened in the sort of Alien universe and story. Then, as I say, it comes into the careers that you can choose. your role-playing Alien as a game, the game modes, because I believe now in these rules you can also do this as a miniatures game on the tabletop, which is something that wasn't included in the first edition, but I think a lot of people wanted this just to be able to sort of get the miniatures that they've got, and with the new edition as well there were some miniatures that were brought out so you could sort of utilise those on the tabletop with scenery and bits and pieces, and you could have your colonial marines fighting against a band of aliens in a sort of miniature tabletop battle, which you might see in the future at things like conventions and game shows. I'm certainly thinking of doing something along those lines, and when I run a game I will be using the miniatures and some actual buildings and things so that the players can move through the rooms and stuff like that rather than just sort of in their heads, although obviously that's good as well. Your imagination can come up with lots of different and more weird and horrible things than anything that you can probably put down on the tabletop. So you've got your tools of the game, what is a role-playing game, and then obviously we come into the bit about your character. So this section obviously will run through the core concepts of how you will build your character, the attributes, cinematic play, campaign play. So cinematic play is just like having a one-shot game, so if you're playing one of the pre-made up sets like the one we'll be showing you from the starter set, there's things like Hadley's Hope, which is obviously where Aliens was set, if you remember the film and have watched that. You've got obviously your personal stuff, your appearance, your personal agendas, your name, who you are and everything like that, what your job is, and then obviously you get to choose your gear depending on what your role is within the game. You can even play sort of young kids, teenagers, that sort of thing. If you also catch things online, like there's some Alien RPG games that run frequently online. You can check those out on YouTube. There's some excellent ones out there. So have a look round, and then it'll give you a flavour of what sort of person you want to be within the game. Obviously some of these are pre-generated. When you see these box sets, they have pre-generated characters, but when you get into things with your game mother and you're starting a game, you'll be able to roll up your own characters like you did in your D&D games and all of the other role RPG games that you may be involved in and like. So again, here you go, Colonial Marines. You've got the Colonial Marshal, Company Agent, Kids, Medics, Officers, Pilots, Roughnecks, Scientists. So you've got, as I say, a wide variety, couldn't say that, of different attributes and skills that you're going to also take, and talents that you're going to take depending on, again, what your role is and who you are. So obviously a kid's not going to have as many skills, attributes and talents as, say, a Colonial Marine, and then a scientist will have something completely different again. And obviously your pilot will be excellent with flying ships and things like that you might need to use to either land on or escape from planets. It tells you how to use your skill, when your dice rolls will come into effect, because each of your characteristics will give you different dice rolls for your skills and your attributes and things that you need to do in the game. So if you're looking to sort of like unlock a door, fly a ship, if you're not a pilot, you'll get some dice rolls, and depending on how many successes or failures you get, something good or bad will happen. So there is a lot of tension in the game. There is the stress and panic thing in the game still, and that is an excellent mechanic within the game. And obviously does, as it comes here, you've got your stealth and combat. It comes into all of these sort of things. So if you're highly stressed at the time of going into things, you're going to be rolling extra dice, but any of those dice that come up with the face hugger symbol, you're going to potentially fail doing what you say you want to do, whether that's shoot at somebody, close quarter fighting, run away, hide. All of these things your game mother will tell you when you need to roll and what attributes he wants or she wants you to roll on your tables. If you get injured, there's injury tables as well, and depending on the severity of the injury and how many hit points you're down to. Once you get down to 0, you'll roll on a critical injury table, and you'll roll 2d6, so you'll get a result from 11 to 66. If you get upwards of sort of 64, 5, 6, then your character's gonna die. But you'll obviously have that sort of tension built up in the game. Hopefully that won't happen too soon in some of the games, especially if they're your first ones, and your game mother might take pity on you if it's your first time out. But it's not really a game where you're going to get a lot of that, to be honest, because there's too much going on and there's too much nastiness around, not just from the aliens, but corporate people trying to sort of mess with your plans and not being totally honest with why you've been sent out to a planet, like they were, as I say, in Aliens. You know, they were sent there on a rescue mission because they told them to go and investigate, obviously, somebody finding something in the end, and then obviously all the colonists ended up dying bar one. So you've got all of this stuff like your cover, using your ammunition, going full auto on some of the weapons. So if you roll a panic, say, when you're rolling on some of the weapons, it will mean that you discharge all of your ammo, and you won't be able to use that weapon again until you've reloaded it, and they take actions. You get a fast and a slow action each turn that your character gets to do something. Sometimes you will need to reload, sometimes you can shoot, sometimes you can run away, sometimes you can do both. It will tell you about damage. Most people will be wearing or have some armor. The aliens have armor, and you will roll dice to negate some of those attacks if they are successful, whether you've done them or whether the person has done something or the alien has done something to you. You've got your critical injuries here, and it will tell you how to work out. Then you've got your critical injuries table here, as I said, from 11 to 66. So you've got disemboweled, so instant death. You've got crushed head, obviously instant death, and impaled heart, which again, instant death. So the higher the number you roll, the worse it is for you. Some of the lower numbers are not too bad, but everything's going to be a negative. Once you get to roll on here, you're not going to get too many benefits, if any, when you start to roll on your critical injuries table, simply by the nature of it being called a critical injuries table. So again, here's the bit about the panic rolls, and once you've had a panic roll and or a roll and your face hugger has come up on the dice, that will lead you to do a panic roll. You will add your current stress level, so if that was say 7, you will then roll a d6 and add that to the number that your stress level is at, and obviously you can get from 0 stroke 1, because sometimes you will get things that will give you some negatives, so that they will help you out, over to 12 plus, and some of that obviously isn't good either. So anything over a 12, you're going to be catatonic, so basically you're just going to be lying on the ground or sitting there doing nothing at all, and if you're being attacked, shot at, or whatever by other characters, NPCs, xenomorphs, whatever it is, if you're catatonic, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. So unless you're wearing anything at the time, you're not going to be able to sort of dodge or block or do anything. You've got mental trauma tables. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. You've got vehicle combat that you can do. You can repairs. You've got your aerial vehicles. You've got your gear and your tech. So this is where you will obviously get things like your guns, flamethrowers. You'll have knives, all sorts of bits and pieces. But you can use you know, sort of tools like spanners, maintenance jacks. All of those sorts of things will come in handy. Obviously, again, in the film Aliens, Ripley used the loader as a weapon to fight off the alien queen, so you may be able to do things like that. You've got diagnostics and displays. You've got medical supplies, tools. You've got vision devices. Obviously, you've seen it. If you've seen the films, they use the motion trackers both on the wrist and also as little handheld devices. So all of those sorts of things are all in the game. You've got pharmaceuticals, stroke drugs, so some of them will keep you awake, some of them will reduce your stress level to 0 or take it down a few notches, but obviously taking drugs, there's always got to be a downside. So it will, you know, if you've taken something that you don't sleep, so never sleep, then obviously you're going to be awake and sort of alert and potentially over alert for a period of time. You've got obviously food and drink, because you're going to need to obviously find things like that to keep yourself going. You've got a section on vehicles, so obviously again the film Aliens, this was the vehicle that Ripley used to get the Marines out of the area when they were attacked. This is obviously one of the drop ships, again the one that crashed in the film when the pilot and the co-pilot were attacked in the docking bay. So then it'll go through how difficult life is going to be when you're doing space travel and living among the stars and on these colonies. So everything has been covered, both in the original and obviously this new version, the Evolved Edition. So again, lots of tables and charts, but don't get too stressed, literally, if you pardon the pun, over these sorts of things, because they're all self-explanatory. You'll get to these during different stages of the game. Sometimes you may never use them in some of your games, and you may never touch any of these tables at all, because you may never get to that point that you've got to roll on any of them. But when you do, they're all self-explanatory. They'll all tell you what will happen, good or bad. And as I say, you've got, these are obviously your larger spaceships, and then you've got bits like space combat, so obviously ship to ship combat, and it again just tells you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, what you've got to roll for, and all of the outcomes. So you've got combat stretch 1, combat stretch 2, so this is obviously your ship combat examples. So again, the book is very, very good at detailing and showing you, whether you're a new or an experienced player, because you're never going to remember all this stuff, how to sort of work out what's happening in the game and what effect that has on you as a person, or you as a crew, the ship, the vehicle, the station, whatever you might be doing, and wherever you might be. Every table in here that you roll on will give you that overview and outcome. So this section, chapter 7, is all about being the game mother. So this is just for those people who will be running the games for people. Doesn't really say that you can't look through it. You can, because obviously it'll give you an insight into the things that your game mother may well have in store for you, how things will work. So you could just quickly read through it. It's not a massive section, but then you come on to your governments and corporations. So again, you've got your Wayland Yutanis, the Three World Empire. They're all in here. You know, the United Americas, the Union of Progressive People. So obviously that looks like what would be the old Russian symbol. The Independent Core System Colonies. So you've got a lot of different things that you can play through, and obviously there we have it. But you've got all of these different things that are built in the game, so you don't need to just concentrate or be the same thing every time. And you know, you could be in a crew or on a workout that you're on a planet, and every single person could be working for somebody else. You just don't know what each individual person's agenda is. You're going to have things like buddies, so somebody that you're going to be close to, you want to protect. They're going to you know, look to you for help and assistance, and there'll also be rivals and enemies where you're going to be very wary of them. But the pre-generated characters will already have that information, and when you're rolling your characters, you can basically choose out of your group who you want to pair up with as a buddy and who you're more wary of. You might not get those choices right all the time either, so that's the beauty of this game. It is very, very sort of rewarding in you never know what's going on, what's going to happen, and who your friends are and who your enemies are. So you've got your aliens, in this chapter, chapter 10. This will give you all the bits and pieces. So you've got the engineers, you've got the xenomorphs, your classic xenomorphs, which are obviously in the films and in the TV series, and then all the different sort of guises, and again more tables to roll on depending on what's going to happen to you or what is happening to your party. But yeah, there's again a lot of new stuff in here as well, things that you may not have seen in any of the films. Then again, you've got here campaign play, so obviously extended games where each game will move you on in a story, whereas the cinematic play is like a one-shot. The campaign is exactly that. You'll start off maybe as a group of treasure hunters, roughnecks, colonial marines, a space crew that's been sent by the corporation or hired by the corporation to go and do something, find somebody, find something, get some data off a planet or off a spaceship, whatever that might be. And then you're going to encounter obviously people and aliens along the way, and it's just a question of whether you're going to survive or not. And pretty much, you know, people aren't going to survive all the time, so your game mother will probably have some NPCs ready that if your character does obviously die within the game, you're going to be able to take over maybe one of the other people in the party. What I've done with the scenario that I've written, I will only have a certain amount of people in the game. There will be more NPCs who will just sort of be tagging along at the back, and then if somebody does obviously lose their character, then they'll be handed the chance to take over one of the others, and that just keeps people involved, because things do happen and you don't want people sitting around doing nothing. So this book and your scenarios that you write up yourself, and also the pre-generated ones, which again we're coming on to shortly, now we're near to the end of the core rulebook, you'll be able to see. So it does give you some missions and things in the book that you can use, and it will sort of help you start off as a GM to design things, and as a player obviously to see what's going to happen potentially within the alien universe. So these are the character sheets that you can now use, and as I say, I've printed off, because if you buy the book you also get a PDF. So this is the ship sheet, so as you can see here, you can print these off and you can write down what your ship is, give it a name, the class and everything, and you can use that. And then similarly you've got your character sheets, which is, as I say, are slightly different than the previous one, slightly different layout. You had all the stuff in the middle and sort of spraying out on the previous version, and it was more of a landscape rather than this sort of portrait one. But yeah, either one, you could still potentially use that old sheet if you've got old characters and you're still working through campaigns. But obviously these are now ready to go because they're in here. I think eventually they will appear on the Free League site, but at the minute they're not there to download. I downloaded them from the actual PDFs of the book itself. So this is the starter set of Hope's Last Day. So this is obviously the sort of set at the Hadley's Hope. So you've got some cards and bits and pieces here. You do get a free xenomorph, so that is a very nice little model. I've got quite a few of these where I bought some for a different alien sort of miniatures game, but this is very nice, and I'll paint this up to go with my other models. You get some dice, so you get the black dice here, so that's for your normal rolls. So you've got your 1 through 6s, so you can use these for other games as well if you want. And then you've got your yellow stress stroke panic dice. So again, you can see they're numbered 1 through 6, and on the 1 is the face hugger. So if that comes up when you're doing any rolls involving any of these dice, then obviously that means that you have panicked potentially. Most times if you see that, you'll have to then do a panic roll. I've got now 2 sets of each of these, so that's good as well, because you will need potentially a lot of those to go round. There are some nice counters that you get in this particular set, so you can buy the miniatures and things to use, but these will have sort of characters on them, you can see there, and on the back you've got these symbols. That's obviously your motion tracker symbol. Then you've got symbols and things for stuff like the ship, and then you've got a supply dial which you just put together. So these all sort of come out on punch boards. So we'll take the rest of these out. So you've got one for each of the characters within the game. Again, you could use miniatures if you wanted to, but we'll show you why you've got those counters. You've got rules reference sheets, so you've got quite a few of these, and they will give you some of the actions and bits and pieces that you can do, and obviously the stress and panic rolls, so that will tell you what that is. It doesn't give you the full description here, but obviously you can get that out of the book, but it does tell you obviously what the result is. So and once you've played the game a few times, you'll get used to what that roll means for you as a sort of response to that roll coming up. Let's take the rest of this stuff out. So these are the rules for this particular thing. So you've got a sort of like a smaller version of the rule book, so they'll give you a little bit here. So you could just buy this and use this as a you know, sort of start off, because it is obviously, as I say, a starter set. So it gives you a flavour of the game and gets you playing, and then you can obviously go into the core rules. But yeah, you've got a nice little starter kit there, and then you've got your pre-generated characters. So it will tell you what they are. So the team leader, security officer, tractor driver, science officer, and a mechanic. So you've got 5 different characters there. Then you've got the adventure booklet itself. Again, I'm not going to show you too much of these things for sort of spoilers and things, but it gives you some nice maps in here as well. And it'll tell you about, you know, things in your air ducts. It'll give you level 1 and level 2 maps. It'll show you you know, xenomorphs and things on the map. It gives you the spaceship. So again, just a nice little quick flick through there. That's just a nice little sheet that they've put all of the backers' names in. Then you've got some, again, some nice little picture diagrams, and then we've got that map that we saw earlier. So you've got the larger maps here. You can't get this all onto the camera without sort of sliding it along and up and down, but you can use this on the tabletop if you want, and that's where you'll put those little tokens of where your characters are. So when your character says, oh, I want to move into the sort of the storage area, or the Weyland-Yutani office, the sterile lab, or the airlock, then obviously you'll put your marker in there for your character. We've got that Stars of the Middle Heavens map there from the front inside cover of the main rulebook. And then we've got another map here. Obviously this is the level 2 map that I showed you. On the back is the ship, and then you've got level 2 there. So again, you know, you can, once people get into there, you can sort of put this out on the table as well, and your characters will be sort of free to move around the map and see what they can find and what they encounter, who comes after them. This is obviously a smaller level 1 map and level 2, so just gives you again that little area, and then you've got those other maps on the back of these. So maybe your GM we'll be using this smaller one, and the bigger one will be on the table for the characters to move around in. We've also got some cards, and this is a nice handy deck of things like your stress responses, so it'll tell you that you're jumpy, tunnel vision, shaken, paranoid, you freeze, you flee, you're catatonic. It will give you your character's personal agendas, so you've all got those. You've got your initiatives, because what happens when anything like combat and bits and pieces like that, you'll all get dealt a card and you'll go in number order. So those, and then you used to keep that, I believe, all the time once a particular sort of set of combat was started. Every time that combat started, you would get that card and you would keep those. As far as I'm aware now, you redraw those each time, so you might go first in one round and you might end up going fourth or last in the next round. So your actions now need to be a bit more sort of thought out and think, oh, you know, I'm not going first every time, I'm not going to get that shot off or that attack off or be able to flee, because next time the xenomorph might get the first card. And a lot of the bigger xenomorphs also get 2 of those initiative actions, so they can potentially attack you twice. You've got all of your potential weapons that you'll get in the scenario, so all of these cards literally will just help you out throughout that particular scenario. So that was for the Hope's Last Day. And then we've got similar, so we've got some more tokens here. Not going to mix the tokens up for the 2 sets, but again you can see that we've got some character faces and things on there just showing who they are. So this will be obviously similar, but it's a second sort of scenario to work through, and this one I believe is the first in a trilogy, so potentially this is going to be, or you can use these as one shots, but they may lead into more of a campaign as well. So again, you've got your personal agendas with these, and you've got your little character cards. Obviously once you've got your initiative cards, then if you've got that set, you don't need any more, because obviously you can't have more than one person acting first or 12th, whatever. So on the back it also tells you about what the scenario is. It also shows you here that the this particular one you can buy a set of miniatures, and you also get some more xenomorphs with that. I didn't get those, but I may do in the future. Again, you've got your Rapture Protocol adventure. This one's a bit more of a thicker book. Again, it will run through your characters, what's occurring on the actual scenario itself, and again more maps. You've got some computer screen readouts. I'm not going to show you those because again that's a bit of a spoiler. This is obviously your particular character sheets for this one, so again they're made out, and those are how the new ones will lay out as opposed to the old ones if you've seen those. And again you've got quite a few. And then again some very nice maps. Oh, this is the USCSS Fidanza. So this is on board a ship by the look of it. Not had too much of a look through this. So again, and that's the Jeremiah 6. So there's different maps for different things there. And again, we've got not sure what that is. That looks like one of those areas where maybe sort of you will go in and encounter things, and engineers and stuff like that have built. And then you've got that smaller map that we had from the Hope's Last Day. They've just put that as a smaller one for obviously the GM to have behind their screen, so they can see what you're doing as well. So there we have it. That's 3 of the new sort of sets that you can get. You know, obviously the rules and a couple of different scenarios. One is the starter set. As I say, if you haven't played before, maybe get that. It'll give you a flavour of what it is, and then you can go on to the core rules. I believe they're redoing the Colonial Marine book as well, and they're going to be bringing out obviously new stuff all the time, because this is one of their most popular RPGs to date. As I say, they do a lot more, so if you're not into Alien, or you've had a look at this video and maybe some others and thought, yeah, maybe that's not for me, have a look on their website. There's some other sci-fi based ones, there's some fantasy ones, there's something for everybody on there, and they're all of an outstanding quality, and components, rule books, everything you get in there, the maps, they're absolutely fantastic. And online they've got resource after resource that will help you run and also play the games and sort of develop the game. And whether you start off as a player and then you become a GM, I think this is a brilliant set. Certainly the starter set is one of the best starter sets I've seen. The original starter set was very good, but the fact that you now get like the little miniature and everything else with it is really a nice little touch. So have a look on their website, have a look at the Kickstarter, because you'll see what was available to people. If you missed that, you'll be able to see what you'll be able to get in retail. Not sure if you can still sort of do any late pledges through that. You might be able to if you get your skates on, because as I say, they're just being sort of finalised and delivered to people. But yes, this is Alien RPG by Free League Publishing. We've had a look through the core rules, the starter set and Rapture Protocol today. And yeah, check out my YouTube channel for other videos of this ilk, of the original bits and pieces that I've done for Alien, and also for board games and things in general. And until we do this again, it's bye for now.